Two people, same city, same job title, same salary hitting their account on the same day every 2 weeks. 5 years later, one of them has $47,000 invested, a growing emergency fund, and options. Real options. The kind where they could walk away from their job if they needed to and survive for 8 months without panic. The other one is still living paycheck to paycheck, not because anything went wrong, not because of bad luck or a medical emergency or a divorce. The money keeps disappearing every month, like clockwork. Same income, completely different financial reality. So what actually separates them? It's not intelligence. It's not discipline. It's not even income. We already established that's identical. What separates them is 7 decisions. Decisions so small they barely register as decisions at all. Decisions that happen quietly, automatically, almost invisibly, until one day you look up and realize they've been building 2 completely different financial destinies the entire time. Today we're going to walk through every single one, and I want you to pay close attention, because I'd be willing to bet that at least 3 of these are happening in your life right now, and you haven't noticed yet. Decision 1. Deciding what normal spending looks like. Here's where it starts. Before anyone opens a bank account or swipes a card, they've already made the most important financial decision of their life, and most people make it completely unconsciously. They look around at their friends, their coworkers, their neighborhood, their social media feed, and without ever saying it out loud, they decide, this is what someone at my income level spends money on. That invisible benchmark is called a spending identity, and it is running your financial life whether you've acknowledged it or not. Person A gets a $65,000 salary, and their mental benchmark is set by the people around them spending $62,000 of it. They don't even question it. That's just what life costs at this level. Person B gets the same salary and made a different decision, consciously or not, to anchor their spending identity to a lower reference point. Maybe they grew up with less and haven't fully upgraded their lifestyle yet. Maybe they made a deliberate choice. Maybe they just never felt the need to match what everyone else was doing. The result? Person B has $800 to $1,200 extra per month that person A doesn't have. Not because they earn more, because their baseline is different. The wealth gap starts here, not at the investment account, not at the savings rate. It starts at the invisible number in your head that tells you what's normal to spend. Most people never audit that number. They inherit it socially and carry it for decades. The decision that changes everything is this. Define your own normal, not based on what your peers spend, not based on what your income technically allows, based on what your future actually requires. Decision 2. Deciding whether debt is a tool or a trap. 2 people can look at the exact same debt and make 2 completely different decisions about what it means. Person A sees debt as something shameful, something to avoid entirely, so they never take on debt. They save slowly, buy things outright when they can, and feel morally superior about it. But here's the problem. They're also never using leverage. They're building wealth at 1 time speed in a world where the people ahead of them are building at 2 times, 3 times, sometimes 10 times, because they understand how to use debt as a capital multiplier rather than a consumer trap. Person B has a different relationship. They've learned the difference between debt that costs them money and debt that makes them money. Consumer debt, credit cards, car loans, buy now, pay later financing, is a trap. It extracts wealth. It takes future income and spends it on things that depreciate immediately. But there is another category of debt. Debt used to acquire assets that generate income or appreciate in value. A mortgage on a rental property, a business loan with a clear return calculation, a student loan for a credential with a documented salary premium in a field with real demand. The decision isn't debt is bad or debt is good. The decision is, does this debt work for me or against me? Most people default to one extreme or the other. They either avoid all debt out of fear and sacrifice leverage, or they use consumer debt without thinking because it feels normal, and they spend the next decade paying for it. Wealth builders make the decision consciously. They do the math every single time. They know the interest rate, the return rate, the payoff timeline, and the opportunity cost of not using the capital. That decision to treat debt as a tool that requires evaluation rather than a category to avoid or embrace is worth tens of thousands of dollars over a decade. Decision 3, deciding when the money moves. This one sounds simple. It isn't. Most people get paid, spend what they spend, and save what's left. That's the default financial behavior for the majority of working adults. And it is the reason most people never accumulate meaningful wealth regardless of their income level. Because here's what happens when you save what's left. There is never anything left. Spending expands to meet available funds. It is not a discipline problem. It is not a character flaw. It is a predictable, documented pattern of human behavior. When money is visible and accessible, we spend it. Every study on this says the same thing. Wealth builders made a different decision, not about how much to save, but about when the money moves. They decided that savings and investments leave the account before they ever have a chance to spend them. The moment income arrives, a percentage routes automatically to an investment account, an emergency fund, or a retirement vehicle. What remains in the spending account is what they have, and they live on that. That one sequencing decision, pay yourself first, automatically before spending, creates a completely different financial trajectory. Not because the amounts are dramatically different in month 1, but because compounded over years, the difference between saving what's left and investing what comes first is the difference between having nothing and having everything. The decision is not how much. The decision is when. Make the money move before you can spend it, and the wealth builds itself. Decision 4, deciding how to respond to an income increase. Every raise is a fork in the road. A bonus, a new job with higher pay, a side income that starts working. Every time more money comes in, a decision gets made, consciously or by default. Most people, when their income rises, upgrade their life to match. New apartment, better car, nicer restaurants, upgraded wardrobe, better vacations. It feels earned. And honestly, it is earned. But here's the math nobody talks about at that moment. If your income goes up by $800 a month and your lifestyle goes up by $750, your wealth building capacity increased by $50. That's lifestyle creep. And it silently cancels every raise, every bonus, every side hustle win you've ever had. The alternative decision, the one that actually moves the needle, is what some people call the raise split. Every time income increases, you split it deliberately. Some percentage goes to lifestyle, because you should enjoy your life. But a locked percentage goes directly to wealth building before the lifestyle adjustment even happens. The exact split varies. Some people do 50-50, some go more aggressive. The number matters less than the decision itself, to consciously intercept every income increase before it gets fully consumed by lifestyle expansion. The people who always seem to have money aren't just earning more. They made a decision at some point that every income increase would be partially captured before it disappeared. That decision compounds over a career the same way interest compounds in an account. Decision 5, deciding what you're actually buying. There is a version of this purchase that costs $40. There is a version that costs $200. And most people, without realizing it, have made a prior decision that determines which one they reach for every time. That prior decision is about identity, about what their purchases are supposed to say about them. When spending is driven by identity, by the signal the purchase sends rather than the function it performs, the cost of living inflates across every single category simultaneously. Clothing, cars, restaurants, phones, apartments. All of it gets pulled upward by the invisible pressure of image maintenance. Wealth builders made a different prior decision. They decoupled their identity from their consumption. They buy for function, durability, and value, not for the story the purchase tells about who they are. This isn't about being cheap. It is about being intentional. The person building wealth still buys good things, sometimes even expensive things, but they're buying for a different reason. And because of that different reason, They're not paying the identity premium across dozens of categories every single month. The math on this is staggering. Across housing, vehicles, food, clothing, and technology, someone who consistently buys the functional option over the status option can redirect $500 to $1,500 per month without feeling deprived, because they never bought into the idea that their net worth should be visible on their body or in their driveway. That is a prior decision about identity, and it shapes every transaction that follows. Decision 6. Deciding how to treat windfalls tax refunds. Year-end bonuses, inheritance, a freelance project that pays unusually well, selling something, getting a gift of money. These moments, windfalls, are some of the most consequential financial events in a person's life. Not because the amounts are always enormous, but because of what they reveal about a prior decision most people made without ever making it consciously. The default response to a windfall is to spend it, not recklessly necessarily, but on things that have been waiting: the vacation, the upgrade, the treat. Because the logic feels sound, this money wasn't in the budget, so it doesn't have to follow budget rules. That logic is the trap. Wealth builders made a decision in advance about how they treat unexpected money. Before it arrives, they've already decided what percentage routes to wealth building and what percentage, if any, gets spent. The decision is made in the abstract, when there's no emotional pull from the money sitting in the account. So it doesn't get overridden by the excitement of suddenly having extra. This matters more than it seems. Studies on lottery winners, inheritance recipients, and bonus earners consistently show the same pattern. Unexpected money gets spent at a dramatically higher rate than regular income. It feels different, so it gets treated differently. The one decision that changes this is pre-commitment. Decide the windfall rule before the windfall arrives. 50% to investments, 50% to spending, or 70-30. The split is secondary. The pre-commitment is everything. Decision 7. Deciding when enough is. This is the one nobody talks about, because it is uncomfortable, because it forces a question most people have never seriously considered. At what point have you made enough money? Not how much money do you want? Not what is your retirement number? The deeper question underneath that: what does your life actually need to be full? What is the real cost of the life that would genuinely satisfy you? Not the theoretical life you imagine having someday, but the actual life you would love living? Most people never answer that question, so they operate on an implicit assumption. More is always better. A bigger income means a bigger life. A bigger life is always the goal, and so the goalpost moves every time they reach it. Every new income level creates new lifestyle expectations. Every lifestyle expansion creates new financial pressure. The treadmill never stops. The people who consistently build wealth and keep it made a decision at some point about what enough looks like for them. They defined the number, not perfectly and not permanently, but intentionally. And that definition gave them something most people never have: a stopping point for lifestyle inflation. When you know what enough is, you stop redirecting every surplus into consumption and start redirecting it into assets. The surplus becomes permanent because the lifestyle stops absorbing it. This is the decision that makes all the others possible, because without it, no amount of system design, automation, or income growth will ever be enough. The lifestyle will always find a way to consume the margin. Define enough, not as a ceiling on your ambition, as a foundation for your freedom. Here is what I want you to understand before you close this video. None of these decisions require a higher income. None of them require a finance degree. None of them require you to be the smartest person in the room or the most disciplined person you know. They require one thing: awareness, the willingness to look at your financial life and recognize that what feels like automatic behavior is actually a series of decisions. Decisions that are being made whether you make them consciously or not. The gap between the two people at the beginning of this video wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It was 7 decisions made quietly, repeatedly, over years, that compounded into 2 completely different lives. You can start making different decisions today. Not all 7 at once. Pick the one that hit closest to home while you were watching this. Start there. Because wealth isn't built in the moments when you finally have enough money. It's built in the decisions you make with the money you already have.